Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria Q. Kane.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. Today, we are going to talk about a freak accident that led to the death of Sophia Hutchins, who is connected to Caitlyn Jenner, ways you can get hurt on amusement rides, a man who was awarded millions of dollars for getting injured on a subway, a terrible story involving a mother who died and her baby who was found luckily alive days later, and what happens when city workers that so happen to work at the morgue go on strike. All that and more on today's episode. Let's get started with this Sophia Hutchins person that I'd never heard about until this week.
All right. That doesn't surprise me because you're not as
I don't know
immersed
about
in
anything
pop culture.
exactly.
So this shocking news broke last week that Caitlyn Jenner's manager, Sophia Hutchins, died after she hit the back of another car while driving her ATV, which sent her down a 350-foot ravine.
Didn't we have a story last episode about a guy getting attacked by a bear and pulled into a ravine as well?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like an absolutely horrific way to die, whether an animal's pulling you down there or you're in a car accident that sends you down there. Neither way sounds good.
So 350 feet, nobody's surviving that. It must have been kind of horrific injuries, and she was pronounced dead at the scene. So, who is this person? Because now I have a lot of questions just because wasn't Caitlyn Jenner involved in a fatal car accident years ago?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that in a little bit. So I find it weird that the press keeps saying a long-time friend. This person's 29 years old. You know, like, it's not like Caitlyn's been friends with her for 30 plus years. I would consider that a long-time friend.
Yeah, she hasn't even been alive long enough to be a long-time friend.
Yeah, they've maybe been friends for 10 years. So, like, I don't know why they keep saying long-time friend. But Sophia was Caitlyn's business manager. So they first met when Caitlyn Jenner came out as trans, and then from there, Sophia Hutchins ended up moving in with Caitlyn Jenner after graduating college and became her manager. So she's been in that role.
Her manager?
Yeah. So
they're not like.
There's been much speculation that they were in a relationship, but they've always maintained that they're platonic.
Oh, okay. And this chick's like 20 something.
29,
like,
my age.
They're friends and they live together. Like, okay.
Well, they don't live together anymore, but they did for a while, and Sophia's been the manager. So right now, authorities are investigating speeding as a potential factor. They also said they're awaiting toxicology. And then I wanted to bring in the point, like you said earlier, that Caitlyn Jenner was involved in a fatal car accident back in 2015.
So what was the cause of that? I don't really. It's funny. I feel like was that all over, or was that kind of buried?
I don't know, honestly, because I've been following the whole Kardashian clan forever. So it's been in my world coming up for all this time in the last 10 years. So I guess for a regular person as yourself that doesn't follow pop culture as closely, this might have gotten buried a little bit. In 2015, Caitlyn Jenner was involved in this crash where she hit a 70-year-old woman's car, which then sent the woman's car into oncoming traffic. And then the woman's car was hit by another vehicle, which killed her. So there was no charges ever pressed against Caitlyn for that. They couldn't prove that she was under the influence or she was distracted while driving, like texting or something. So never any charges. But there was a civil suit by the family in the car that struck the woman. Like the other car.
Oh, okay.
So Caitlyn Jenner had to end up paying about, I believe, $800,000 out to that family from the civil suit.
So this friend was riding an ATV on Caitlyn's property, or
it said on a road leading to Caitlyn Jenner's house, so possibly she lived nearby and instead of driving a car, people drive ATVs. I don't know what, I mean, we have an ATV at the cabin.
So remember Aunt Jane she used to have the lake house that was in a little gated community, and one time Louie was like, oh, let me show you around here. And we got in that Polaris thing and we just drove around. That's considered an ATV. So I guess because there's not really major traffic except the people that are living in that particular community. A lot of times you see it with people like have a golf cart or something like that. So I'm wondering if it was just something like that because typically I don't think you're supposed to drive those things in the street with traffic, right?
Yeah, but people do.
I
I
mean,
mean,
people do here for
on the
sure.
4th alone, I saw at least 3 of them on the road, which is not I mean, especially the main roads near us are horrific in a regular car.
Yeah,
I
and I
can't
know there's
imagine being
been
in
like swarms of 50 kids on. I just really don't think those things are street legal. I could be wrong, but I don't think that you're supposed to be riding those things in the middle of the street with traffic cuz especially on Route 130, I don't even think that they go fast enough to keep up with I don't know. I could be misspoken. I don't think that they're street legal. Um so I mean, think about if you're driving on a road that goes 40 miles an hour, being on one of those things it's just weird and you don't really see them that often. So I don't know like why she was in one, but sometimes just maybe she was like running errands house to house. I mean, God, I would never be riding. I don't even want to drive a car that's next to a ravine. That's freaking scary.
No, I know. That's all I was thinking too. And especially if they're thinking that she was speeding or something going along that road, you're like, that's so dangerous. I can't imagine. But we're going to find out soon what happened exactly. But it's super sad. And I don't know if they're thinking she's speeding or something. Definitely ill advised on a windy road like that where you could possibly fall off the side. So we're going to find out what happened sooner or later because obviously they're going to do an investigation.
All right, so tell them about this story because that will really this is an unexpected thing, but apparently it happens.
All right, so at Kennywood, which is an amusement park in Western PA, a person was on the Phantom's Revenge coaster when suddenly they were struck by a cell phone and had to go to the hospital.
There's been a couple rides that we go on at Knoebels, for example, that they say like I'll have my belt bag on and they're like we want that. And I'm like, no, I'm not leaving my designer bag here in your little basket. And they're like, well, then you're not going on the ride. They want your phone, they want your glasses, which sucks because, but I do have a story about that. But for me, I can't see without my glasses on. So then I can't really experience life enjoyably if I can't see, right? But that's why. And they did tell us once. They were just like, we had an incident. It wasn't at Knoebels. I think it was when we went to Dutch Wonderland. They told us that they had an incident once that someone got hit with someone's cell phone, and now they're like hardcore about it.
And like I see that the park is saying that they have lockers and they have cubbies at each ride and some of them have locking mechanisms and they have like pouches on the coaster itself. I don't think every park is convenient to store stuff away, and I don't think they stress how dangerous it could be when things fall out of your pocket.
Well, it just depends who's operating the ride. Like sometimes people just blow. Like I'll tell you, recently, within the past couple years, we went on the Guardian of the Galaxy ride, at Epcot, and I was wearing my glasses, and nobody told me to take them off. I didn't really know what to expect on the ride, and like I borderline didn't enjoy the ride, which I thought was so cool because my glasses were like falling off so bad, and I couldn't even like hold on to them good. I was so scared, and I went down this rabbit hole of like my glasses are going to fall off. They're not going to be able to find them, and the rest of the trip I'm going to be miserable because I can't see anything. Like, what do you then I get scared. Like, what do you do in a situation like that if you only have one pair of glasses with you?
Well, let me ask you this too. Why even go on the ride if you can't see the visual components of it? Doesn't it take away a bunch of the experience?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think of it, and it would have, but I don't know. Like honestly, if I knew that they were gonna fly off my face like that, I feel like I would just deal with it because you can't like I don't want to lose my glasses because it's so physically uncomfortable to not be able to see anything. I just don't really experience life the same without them. You know, even when I go swimming in the pool with the kids and I take off my glasses, I'm kind of like I can't even really like see them and enjoy it. But so then I put my sunglasses on, but then they splash me. I can't see. It's just like a weird thing.
So is the person responsible for keeping the cell phone in their pocket even though there were signs around? Or is the ride operator responsible for not checking everybody?
Well, I've been on some rides where they're legit like everything needs to come out of your pocket. Like if they're being responsible about it, they'll say you can't keep your phone in your pocket because that could happen, just getting thrown around and stuff like that. And imagine getting hit with a, I mean, like if you were standing in the room across from me and I threw my phone at you, it would hurt.
When I'm holding my phone above my face when I'm laying in bed and
Yeah.
it falls, it hurts. Like, I can't imagine any force behind it.
Exactly. Like imagine that would like seriously hurt somebody. So
Especially, I just got a new phone this week because my other one was broken, and it's so much heavier than my old one. I don't understand why the iPhones keep getting heavier with each new release.
mine, and I get like the super, what's it called, plus, the super big phone.
I don't get the super big one.
It's mine, like is a workout to hold it up. It is really heavy, and I
Well,
get all the storage, you know.
Since I want to say like the iPhone 6 or something, my finger cannot reach all the way across the screen because I have small hands. So like if I want to text with one hand, like I can't do it quickly. I have to like exert all this energy and turn my arm to
Do you ever,
reach the
like-
buttons on the other side of the screen.
Do you ever deal with an old person that is like, oh, my ringer's off, I'm not getting text messages, and then they hand you their iPhone 5?
Yeah, and I'm
and
jealous
you're like,
'cause
and
those
I
were the
hold it, and I'm
days.
like, oh my god, this is so petite, and like, it's
I
just.
say this all the time, but I think the iPhone 5C was the best iPhone there ever was.
Wait, remember when Kara was recently here, and I was doing something on her phone, and her phone still had a button,
No, yeah, she had a button on it.
and I'm just like, I don't even remember how to use this thing.
Ricky had an iPhone 4 probably until like 3 years ago. I'm not even exaggerating. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
how
had
is
mine
this
for a
even
long
working?
time until it was like, this isn't going to work anymore, the little one.
I don't even understand because I feel like most phones I get, the voicemail stops working. And not the voicemail. When I'm on calls, I can't hear the other person unless I'm on speakerphone. That's the most common issue I have. Or the battery just starts draining in like 3 hours. And I'm like, how?
Yeah, I feel like Mama and Pop-Pop's phone is so old that like Pop-Pop's is just ridiculous. The call is like all day. I'm
Yeah.
like, I get 2 words out of it. It's so annoying. All right, let's get on to what's the next story.
All right, so back in 2017, this man tripped on a train platform in New York City, causing him to get hit by a train and lose up to 5 toes. So now, after suing the Metropolitan Transit Authority, which us in this area know as the MTA, he's been awarded $22.75 million.
So when I first read the headlines, I was just like, all right, well, if you fell and tripped, then that's kind of your problem. Why do they owe you money? But then when you look into the case and it's like, no, the platform, you know, those little like yellow things that it's like a strip of yellow bumpy things that are along the train
Yeah.
before you're approaching the train where you're supposed to stand back. They were uneven and not maintained properly, and he tripped over that. And I could understand that would be a tripping hazard, actually.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So they were trying to settle with him out of court for only $100,000, and his lawyers kept saying like, no, you need to push for it. At some point, they even, and I don't know if this is because the EMS, when they arrived and the people at the scene and stuff assumed that he had jumped onto the tracks intentionally. He had to get analyzed by a psychiatrist to prove that he wasn't suicidal and he in fact tripped. I'm sure they were able to find video of this happening because it was in 2017. Like there was definitely video of, well, you would hope that there was video available on the platform.
Oh, there definitely was. And you're always going to have some looky-loo. It's like the lady with the plane on yesterday's episode. There's always some looky-loo that just assumes something happened, and they're probably like, whisper down the lane like, oh, he jumped, I saw it, when they don't know what they're talking about at all.
Yeah, and I mean, God, that's a very scary thing to think about, falling on a train track and getting hit by a train. Like
He's lucky he survived.
He is, and he had I mean, he had his toes amputated, on his foot was mangled according to the surgeon. Then he had infection and had to get more of his foot. So they said they had to give him a transmetatarsal amputation, which is basically cutting your foot across, and then you only have like an ankle basically. So, I mean, lifelong problems he's going to have from this. And I'm glad that he's getting such a large settlement because it'll make it more serious for them to maintain this stuff.
You know, though, every time I see these massive settlements and these lawsuits, like this guy's just awarded $22.75 million, I always think of this case of Tom Girardi, who was the Aaron Brockovich lawyer. He was married to Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, Erica Jane. He worked for a law firm that did these massive lawsuits like this for plane crash victims and exactly an incident like this. And he stole all the money from the victims. Like some of them who were awarded big settlements like this guy up to $23 million only saw like 500,000 of it. So when I see these cases, my mind always just goes to like, I hope this guy actually gets this money because he needs it to live a comfortable life with all the medical issues he had stemming from the accident.
Well, he's not going to get anywhere near that much money.
No.
But, I mean, you have to pay. I can't imagine what the lawyer gets paid of that settlement. And then,
Well, yeah.
I mean, just think about the taxes on it and everything else. Like, it is interesting. Like, if you get awarded something like that, do you have to pay taxes on it?
I don't
Because
know,
that's
actually.
kind of, because that, like, that right there is like, okay, now he's got $11 million. Just cut it in half, if not more.
I mean, if it's I understand if you win the lottery, you have to pay taxes on it, but if it's stemming from a life-altering accident,
Yeah.
I feel like there should at least be a fixed rate. Like, it shouldn't have to be the 50% other people have to pay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that.
I'm not either. Chime in, listeners, and let us know if you know. This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
So, speaking of amusement injuries, we have lots of posts in the Gross Room about amusement injuries. We've done a 2-part high-profile death dissection on Disney World injuries and deaths. And then, was it Disney World specifically, right?
Yeah,
or
we specifically did Disney
World, because we're going to do Disneyland at some point too. But so Disney World specifically. Then we have a 2-part high-profile death dissection on Six Flags injuries and deaths. And then we have the Dream World one, which was awful.
One of the worst ones ever.
Yeah, we have a high-profile death dissection on that. So check them out. If you, I don't know, we always had some kind of intrigue with these. We also have other videos and stuff about like once a girl got her scalp got avulsed or just completely ripped off her skull because her hair got caught in a Ferris wheel, like things like that. Just crazy things.
Yeah, we have many amusement accidents in there, so head over to thegrossroom.com now to sign up. This story is horrific. Police were contacted after a woman hadn't been seen by her neighbors in a few days. So as they're doing the welfare check, no one answered the door. They start looking through the windows and see that a woman is there not moving. So they bust into the house and find the lifeless woman with her baby lying next to her, and the baby was alive.
Oh my God, it was so sad. They saw this baby just laying there all wrapped up with her little blanket. And they picked her up and she was visibly dehydrated because, like Maria said, the neighbors didn't see the mother for days. So clearly this baby had been there without getting anything to eat or drink. It's just so sad. And now I don't know if there was a father involved that obviously like wasn't living there or what happened to the baby. And honestly, we don't even know what the mother's cause of death was, but it didn't, just on the initial surface, it didn't appear to be suspicious. Like it didn't look like she was shot or stabbed to death. So they'll do the autopsy to figure out what her cause of death was.
No, and the article was saying that if the officers didn't go in exactly when they did, I mean, the baby might not have survived, but they saved this child's life. Thank God. I mean, people can just die. In this case, we don't know really, but think about a parent that dies in an accident or from natural causes, and these little kids are left alone. I'm sure this happens more often than we even hear about.
It's really amazing to think about this child growing up, and then when she becomes like older, to think back that happened to her and actually be able to see video of like officers rescuing her. It reminds me of, there was this case that I read about this week in the news about this gay couple. The guy had found this baby in the subway in New York City like 20 or 25 years ago, and he immediately picked up the baby. He didn't even think it was real. Like he didn't know what it was, and then he saw the baby moving and picked it up and was like, "Oh my God, this is a baby." And it went to the hospital, and he said he couldn't stop thinking about this baby, and ultimately like him and his partner adopted this baby. And now they were showing the article of what he's like 20 or 25 years later. It's just so cute to see that he ended up having a really good life being in a shitty situation as a baby.
No, totally. I mean, people that rescue kids like that and then end up fighting to adopt them are like, I'm gonna cry over hearing stories like that. So it's awesome, and like the fact that this kid was saved is really awesome, and they were able to, get it the proper help it needed. It's just you don't hear positive outcomes all the time of horrific stories like this. So it's not that this story was great per se, but at least the baby didn't die from it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's get on to our last story. So, there's been massive strikes in Philadelphia right now, and as part of that, employees of the medical examiner were also on strike. How do you think that's going?
This is interesting because we're having this conversation. One of our friends brought this up at our 4th of July party and said, yeah, like the 911 operators are on strike, and then they make a joke like it's not like they come anyway if you call. Like, how messed up is that? That's like the first impression that people have that the cops aren't coming anymore if you call 911.
Well, even just a couple weeks ago, my mother-in-law and father-in-law got in a car accident and on 95,
on the highway, the
on
major
95
highway.
in Philly, and they called the police right away, and nobody came for over an hour.
Yeah, because they're just like, "Are you dead? No, okay, we'll be there when we can get there." That's really unfortunate, but this is not just 911 operators, it's sanitation workers, it's so trash is piling up, people who work in the facility that treat the water, like major essential services we need to live in a hygienic, civilized society. And what happened at the morgue was when they went on strike, I was actually shocked when I heard this because Gabe is a firefighter and they're not allowed to go on strike. They can't.
Well,
even though they're
that.
even though they're union employees. They can't because they're essential. They can't go on strike. So in the sense of not showing up to work, they have to show up to work no matter what. So I would think that a medical examiner employee, which consists of the investigators, they're the ones that go to the scenes and they're the ones that oftentimes transport the bodies to the morgue. Because if they find a decomposed person, the investigator will go and the cops will go and then they'll do their thing and then they leave. They're not going to put a decomposed body in their police car. Like the medical examiner takes them to the morgue. So you have that. You have the technicians that are actually performing the autopsies and secretaries, all these people that work there. And it was like as soon as it turned 12:01 a.m. on July 1st, they all just like clocked out and left work. Right? So what happens, like all of these bodies that are accumulating every day, like nobody's going to the scene. People aren't sending bodies to the fridge. They're not getting in a fridge in an adequate amount of time. It's freaking hot as hell here too right now.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking about was these bodies not getting picked up and how awfully hot it has been the last couple weeks here.
Yeah. So I mean, just like it's just this crazy thing that's happening. So apparently the morgue refrigerator in Philadelphia is only able to hold 160 bodies at maximum, and right as of a couple days ago it had 180 bodies, and they were like double decking bodies on trays, which like think about that. Like when you're dead, do you want to be I don't know, just
can't they use like Penn's right across the street? Can't they be using their facilities as well?
Penn's fridge holds 5 people, right? Like I'm serious.
I'm just saying.
Jefferson's fridge holds 5 or 6 people. Like no, there's just not enough fridges in the world to hold. And like the thing is like Penn, Jefferson, all that, they have bodies of their own in their fridges. Like there's no space for them. They just don't have the space. So finally, a couple days ago, they were like ordered, like you have to go back to work.
Yeah,
now
court
listen,
ordered.
I don't think I'm going to say this because I interned at the medical examiner's office in Philly, and that was like back in 2008, right? And I loved it there. I wanted to work there and stuff. And then when I found out what they got paid, this was a while ago, so they were getting paid like $35,000 a year, and I was just like, yeah, no. And now it's like the median salary that they pay these people is $46,000 a year. This is why these people are striking, because not only is Philadelphia just like it's a higher cost of living city as it is, but $46,000 a year to do the job that these people are doing is an insult.
It is insulting.
It's such an insult. Like, their job is gross. They need to do they have high responsibility, and you could see that they weren't working for 2 days, and what a shit show it's turning into. And it's like they deserve to get paid a lot more money, and it's insulting that they get paid such a low salary. Like, who can live like a decent, you can live off of that, but like you're not really have any extra money at all to do anything with your life. And you have to work terrible hours, be on call, work in the middle of the night, in a smelly, dirty
deal
environment.
With dead people.
Yeah, it's just like it's just really insulting. So I hope, I mean, I know that they had to go back to work, and I hope that this little like break shows just how important they are, and that they end up getting an increase in pay. Many of the investigators and techs that I worked with while I was there would oftentimes have to work so much overtime in order to just make anywhere near a decent salary. But like, okay, so you make a decent salary, but you're also working, 60 hours a week. What kind of quality of life do you have? I just think that they've always, at least in Philadelphia, they always notoriously have paid so low. I mean, $46,000 a year, I feel like is a price that people are getting paid at Starbucks close to at this point.
I was going to say that, and it's like crazy because these people are dealing with not only death, but some of the most horrific death you're ever going to see. It's not that dying in any capacity is good, but at the hospital, it's like more natural, and you see things like that. Some of these people are coming in without heads, or it's people that were horrifically murdered, or people in horrific accidents. So you have to see the most horrible things in the world. The decomposition in the
summer is awful. The volume at the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's office is awful. I mean, the hours are awful. It's just it's a lot. It's a very and it's depressing. You're in a room that I haven't been to the new morgue, so I don't know how it's set up, but the one when I interned there was like, you're in the basement, there's no windows, it smells like death. It's
literally
it literally smells like death. Like, and you're just down there, you can't even tell what time of day it is because there's no lights, and just case after case after case you're expected to do. And when you just sit there and you get mad because that's like a taxpayer funded job, but then you're like, you see all the money they blow on other stuff, and you're like, you really need, these people are essential employees and they need to get paid a lot more.
Well, I think it's an extra FU when you think of the newly proposed Sixers stadium, and then you see everything going on. So I think that's like a lot of anger is coming from that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so insulting. And some of the things that they've said are like, oh, well, we'll give a 3% raise every year. And it's just like, no, dude, you need to give them like an extra $20,000 a year.
Minimum.
Like, I mean, think about this. Like, every single time you go food shopping, it's a couple $100. Like, it adds up. And it's just like, when other places are paying so high, why not just go be a barista and right? Like, not that that job's not essential, because trust me, when I get a good job at Starbucks or a good
yeah, but Starbucks has pretty great benefits apparently, so like it might be better to work there than deal with this super depressing job where you have to be exposed to horrific things all day long.
And I know for a fact too that other medical examiners' offices pay decent salaries, so and I'm sure anybody that's working there is calling their friends that are in Baltimore and New York City and just other towns and finding out how much their investigators make and their technicians make. And like, they're just like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I don't blame them. Like, it's I've been there, trust me. Like, it's not cool.
No, and then it trickles down because it's like, it's not cool for the workers, and then they're doing what they feel is right, and then it's not fair for the families of the deceased people. It's not fair for the deceased people. It's not.
There could be a trickle down effect to that too, because now you're talking about like people decomposing, and that could be a problem for funerals. there's just all sorts of things. And then the other thing you have to take into consideration is that the doctors, so the actual medical examiners that work there, they're not union employees, so they're still there at work, but there's only a couple of them. Like, they can't do all the work. They need help. They can't do it. They can't do it all. So it's just like, it's not cool to the doctors either. And then you're putting all this pressure on the chief, who's now in charge of the whole thing, who's going to get blamed for every single thing that goes wrong, even though it's not her fault.
Yeah, because how could mistakes not happen when situations like this arise?
And not to mention, like, if you're not, I don't even know what their volume is at this point, but when I was a student there, it was like there was anywhere from 10 to 20 bodies coming in there every single day. So then if you're not doing them every day, then all of a sudden the next day you have 20 to 40 bodies. And then the next day, you have 30 to 60 bodies. Like, how do you ever even catch up? It's a lot. It's just a lot of work, and it's not cool for everyone involved.
Yeah, and now they're court ordered to go back to work on Thursday, so I'm sure everybody's miserable that's there.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So,
I don't know. This really sucks, but I mean, this is what happens sometimes, I guess.
Welcome to Philly.
Yeah, seriously. All right, guys, we cannot wait to see everybody in Atlanta tomorrow and Saturday. We're so excited for our events with Cheryl. If you have a review for us, please leave it at Apple or Spotify. Please give us your kindness. And if you want to head over to our YouTube and subscribe, that would be awesome. And as always, if you have a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
See you guys. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor, and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology, so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.